Greetings, folks. Today is Thursday, March 14th, 2019. I'm Tom Lineweaver, and this is my commentary. Yeah, you see right. I've got a picture here of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and the words House of Terror on it. Now, let me tell you what I'm responding to. As you know, I've been following this controversy that was ignited by, statements by Representative Omar, and she did not say half of what they are claiming. Okay, but somewhere along the line, I heard somebody say that if you support her, you are a terrorist. I don't know if you heard that, but I have. I wish I could remember who said it. And I'll probably look for it so I can share that with you some other time. But it may have been Alan Dershowitz, although I'm not sure. It sounds like something he might say. And it probably was on Fox News. Anyway, okay, this is what some of the thinking is behind the misgivings of the misunderstandings of what she said. I support her in this issue. Trust me, she's a Democrat. You don't think I'm going to support her in a lot of stuff, do you? But in this issue, she's absolutely right. Now, let me explain to you what terrorism is. The word terror means to use fear to gain an advantage. That's what it means. I'm here to tell you that our own government does that. Just try not paying your income tax and see what happens. And what about the Patriot Act? How many times have we heard, SWAT teams or whatever have you, busting into the wrong house and killing people? Does that create fear? What about, remember Daniel Shaver? What happened to him? Are you not fearful that that could someday happen to you for whatever reason? And what about forced vaccinations? Now, you might say, well, that's not the federal government doing it, but the federal government causes it. The FDA is causing it because of their support for Big Pharma. Of course, they're being paid off by Big Pharma. Anyway, we already know that. But this is what's going on. I've heard stories that parents are saying that if they don't get their kids vaccinated, the powers that be are going to remove them from school. That's not a serious problem. The schools are stupid anyway. I wouldn't put my kids in public schools anyway. So hey, that's not a big deal. But we've got governments out there that have rules and regulations that if you do not vaccinate your children, we are going to take your children away from you. Now that is terrorism. We have governments in the United States that use terroristic tactics. Now, remember after 9/11, I'm sure there was fear. Is this going to happen again? Is it going to happen again today? I'm sure some of people were thinking that. And George W. Bush comes along and stokes the fire, telling us it was Al Qaeda and that we have to go after them, and so they have used fear, because what he said was that these people hate our way of life. They hate our freedom. And that's why they attacked us. And that was a lie. That was an absolute lie. But that's what he said. They hate our way of life. And so they attacked us. Well, what about our own government? Do they hate our way of life? How many laws have they passed since 9/11 that took away some of our freedom? Take a look at the Patriot Act. And one of these days I'm going to talk about the Patriot Act. But you take a look at the Patriot Act. Tell me that doesn't take away our freedom. And what about the TSA? What about Homeland Security? And what about these people at the airports that take your clothes off to check you out? Is that freedom? They are taking away our freedom. Our own government is taking away our freedom. And they do it in many different ways. Not one of those so-called terrorists has taken away our freedom. Not one. Not one. Osama bin Laden or any of his friends came over here and passed these laws taking away our freedom. Not one. Our own government is taking away our freedom. And just you dare to stand up against them, you could be shot. You could be killed. And what about, recently I did a commentary on this some time ago, and I gave a link to anyway, John Stossel was talking about the border security and how it extends out 100 miles and how many people are being terrorized by our own government. So we have a government that practices terrorism, and they want to say that if we agree with Representative Omar, we're a terrorist? I'm sorry, folks. The terrorists we have right now, the ones that concern me the most, are sitting there in Washington, D.C. Listen, look at our president. You tell me he's not a terrorist. He hates people. Anyway, it's just incredible the way our government is treating the American people. I call it terrorism. You have to be a specific type of person not to be fearful of the government. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't, after what I've been through recently, I fear the government. Therefore, I am not at liberty. I don't know what's going to happen to me every time I go out the door. I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a cop out there waiting to taser me or what. So I very seldom go out that door. I only go out when I absolutely have to. You never know what's waiting on site. And what about the IRS? Like I said, just try not paying your income tax. I've heard all kinds of stories of IRS agents breaking in a shop and breaking apart things in that shop. I mean, you would think you're watching a movie. You ever watch a movie where these, what do you call them? These people that go to shops and say, pay us insurance. And they take almost everything. And if you don't pay these racketeers off, they will ruin your business. Well, we have a federal government now doing that, because if you don't pay your income tax, that's what's they will ruin your business. And they will put you in jail to boot. We have a terroristic government. And they have the gall to tell us we are terrorists if we agree with Representative Omar. And what did she say? She didn't say anything that's anti-Jew. Not one thing. She's talking about our government accepting money from big lobbies. That's really what she was talking about. There's nothing anti-Semitic about that. Oh, because one of the lobbies is Israel? Okay, so now we're anti-Semitic because we're talking about the lobbies of Israel that are huge lobbies, and they are influencing our government. Don't tell me they're not. So is Big Pharma. That's how people are getting away with telling parents, you have to vaccinate your children or lose them. They're using fear to force you into vaccinating your children. Folks, we have governments, the federal government, state governments, and local governments using terror to get you to capitulate with their rules. And they aren't people from overseas. They aren't Islamic. They're Methodists. They're Presbyterians and Baptists and everything else. They're your local governments, your state governments, your federal governments. They are not Islamic, most of them. So anyway, okay, that's my commentary. We have a government that's terroristic. Watch out for them. Thanks for listening.